Hello, listening people.
Hello.
Hello, Bartek. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Ryan. I like that we said hello 3 times. 3 is the magic number.
No more.
How are you?
I am doing great. I'm very excited to be here to talk about a movie because we talk about movies here.
Why? What is this? What is here?
Here is a state of mind, really. Like, what is reality, Bartek? Time, is it actually an illusion? A flat circle? These are the things we ask here on Spit and Polish Presents, because we're just two spitting young gentlemen who both happen to be Polish and have microphones where we record our voices into them, and I guess you call that a podcast.
Yeah, well, we need a program attached to the microphones to keep the recording. Otherwise, we're just talking at things.
Things?
Like if we had a water ball in our hand, we just talk to it.
Oh.
The water ball's not going to remember what we said, like the microphone and the computer.
A what? Sorry? What are we talking into? A water ball?
Water bottle.
I heard water ball.
Water bottle. That's what I said.
This is our Aussie accents getting us in our own face, because you said water bottle.
Water bottle.
Now we're getting more English. But today we're talking about a movie that came recommended.
A movie?
A movie on Pictures Powwow from a country that loathes the British, as they should. We're doing a movie that is from India, and we had a nice person, I'm assuming an Indian listener, recommended this film to us 3 years ago on our Doom 2 discussion. Doom 2 back in action.
Yeah, you're talking about Mahima Vishakrama 1297, aren't you?
Of course I am. And they commented very nicely, and they suggested that we should do Three Idiots. They said, as I got to know that Bartek likes Bollywood movies, I want to recommend a movie which called Three Idiots. It is one of the best movies of Bollywood, and IMDb rates of this movie is 8.4. And Ryan, don't make fun of our movies like this. Sorry for my bad English. That's what they had to say 3 years ago.
And we stand behind what they said, didn't we? Don't we?
Yeah.
We agree with everything.
I agree. Look, today, as I've said, we're talking about Three Idiots, the film that this person recommended. And I remembered this recommendation because they told me to play fair with these movies, which I have been trying to do, because Indian movies are not my bag, baby. I did not grow up watching Indian movies. Until this podcast, I had never seen an Indian movie in full. So I am learning and going on my Indian movie journey. And each time we cover one, I feel like I'm getting more, to terms with them and trying to give them more of the benefit of the doubt and trying to do that. But, will I make fun of this movie? We'll have to find out.
I mean, look, jokes aside, other than like Main Hunna and Doom 2, you've kind of liked all of them.
Yeah. Exactly. And even then, I listen to Doom 2's theme still to this day.
Yeah.
So it must have done something right. Doom. But,
Doom.
Bartek, how about you tell us all about Three Idiots? Let everyone know the basic premise.
Yes.
Entice them.
So we've done quite a lot of Bollywood films over the course of Pictures Powwow, at least one a year. We did 2 last time. We're doing 2 this year as well. But this is the first time that we're covering a Indian film that I haven't seen before. So I'm kind of excited. I've never seen Three Idiots, but I've heard a lot about it. It's one that's been brought up quite a bit. I remember I growing up and going to high school, I had some Indian friends, and some of them would joke that I was more Indian than them because I really liked Bollywood films and, I talked about Indian curries a lot. And one of them who, is a film buff but isn't really into Bollywood films, had the concession that he really likes Three Idiots. He's like, oh, well, if even Harry likes it, then, that must be a good one. Basically heard nothing but good things other than literally a few hours after our last recording. Oh. I went to the city to hang out with my mum and her boyfriend, and I brought up like, oh, we're doing Three Idiots next week. And she said that she didn't like Three Idiots. So I was like, oh, a criticism of this classic. That's interesting. Maybe I should walk in a bit more, cautious.
Yeah. Your mum, she's not a fan of Three Idiots, but perhaps we may change her mind.
Maybe.
Perhaps it will be a shock, because I have not seen Three Idiots myself. Listening people, if you have not seen the film, we highly recommend that you do. It is a Bollywood film, so that means it's got all of the tones, every tone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a musical, but it's also not really. There's like 3 songs.
Yeah, that surprised me. When the first one happened, I'm like, oh yeah, we haven't had one yet, but I guess now it starts. And then by the end of the film, it's like, we've had 3 or 4.
Now it starts. This is a film that's 3 hours long or thereabouts, so
251.
be
pretty
prepared
close.
for that. Yeah, but with an intermission, Bartek, you got to have your little intermission if you really want to give the film its fair shake. The intermission being, I need a little bit of a break because the film's quite heavy, even though it's quite light. But the basic premise is these 2 friends from university meet back up because they want to find their best friend in the whole universe that disappeared after university was done, and it gets them on this cross-country adventure. But the majority of the story is the flashback story of them at university studying engineering, meeting this friend and learning their way of life, and that they're a little bit more off the beaten path than most Indian culture would perceive to be.
He plays by his own rules, but his own rules are generally more progressive than
A free spirit.
than the location's rules and values.
Yes, he's a free spirit. This is also important to note. The lead, this friend that they're looking for, is played by Amir Khan, an actor that I am least familiar with out of the 3 Khans. This is the second of his films that we have covered. The other one was Lagan, which is quite the acclaimed movie, even over in the West, where it got nominated for an Academy Award. I really didn't know what to expect coming in because the title indicates silliness and the poster indicates silliness. But Amir Khan does not, because I've talked to your mother, I've talked to you, I just know from comments as well that Amir Khan is very serious as an actor. He does not goof around as much as Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan or Irfan Khan. Like, he's not goofy as much.
That's the impression we get.
He's much more stoic and serious. So I didn't know what I was getting in for because of that. That really threw me. I was like, okay, all of the signs are telling me this is going to be a silly comedy, but it's got Amir Khan in it. And this is after Lagan. This is several years later. This is 2009. And I didn't know the plot. I didn't know anything. I knew the title, because that was the thing of... This was a big movie when it came out. Even I knew the title of Three Idiots. Like, oh yeah, Three Idiots. That was a big movie, but I didn't mean that I knew what it was going for, what the story, the setting, the time period. I didn't know if this was going to be a period piece or if this was going to be modern day. No clue. No clue.
It ended up being a thing that I've seen multiple times in Bollywood films, and probably even on the podcast, where there's 2 halves set at 2 different times.
Oh yeah, but they're happening at the same time in this story.
Yeah,
this is not like Om Shanti Om.
Yeah.
Where first act is in one period, second act is in another.
Om Shanti Om's actually, a really distinct one where it starts at the early one, then definitively moves to the latter. Like, multiple that I have seen that have that kind of structure at least start with the framing device, like this film did.
So, what did you think of Three Idiots?
It was good. I enjoyed it. It was... I also walked in really not knowing anything. This film, the main characters could have been anything. I didn't know that it was at a prestigious university. For all I knew, it could have been like, Dumber and another dumb guy.
It could have been Three Stooges.
Yeah, but no, I enjoyed that it had like this social commentary on the education system. While also doing, kind of goofy things. It did kind of have mood whiplash at some points.
Did it?
Yeah. And
did the goofy, jaunty little song that they had where they were all singing about how awesome it is to be at school and be best friends suddenly end because a person killed themselves? tonal whiplash. I'm shocked.
And there was a very funny thing because that reminded me of 2 years ago. Shah Rukh Khan had 3 films that were released in cinemas, and I went to see all 3 with my mum and her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all like 3 different levels. Like the first one, which our friends the Contrarians have done, was like a big action movie. The middle one, Jawan, was like a really big crowd pleaser. Like it was a really good film. And then the third one, I'd put it in the middle. It's the one that I'm the most fascinated by, but the silly hijinks of it, I think, really detract from some of the seriousness of it. And literally on the way here, I was looking up the director of this film, and they directed that third film as well.
What was the third one called?
That one's called Donkey.
Donkey, okay. So, yeah, Three Idiots.
What do you think, Ryan?
I liked it. It's not, it's a bit of a antagonistic film in a way because of those tonal shifts. I am, again, becoming more accustomed to that. But I think what was really apparent is the sincerity. What really gets me up in arms about some of these movies is when they do these tonal shifts or when they change what the motif is or the theme is does it feel authentic? Does it feel genuine? And I remember when we first started this Indian movie journey, we did Main Hunar, and that was one of my big complaints, was I did not feel like it was really saying much at the end of the day, and I didn't feel like Shah Rukh Khan was invested in that particular film. But this is one where even though there's these big swings, they always came back to a fundamental honesty and truth and authenticity that the film is trying to get at. Even if some of it was too abrasive or some of it was way too corny, I absolutely could follow the thread of what this filmmaker was trying to say. So I praise it for that. Out of, we've done a lot of Indian movies now, and it's always that thing of compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, which one did this remind me of the most? And it reminded me of Bilu the most in terms of how I felt about it, because it's silly and it's got a goofy lead character who's played by an actor that I take rather seriously, and then the movie is them being a goofball, and they rub off their goofball energy on a whole array of characters around them in the community, but then drama happens as well. But they're different films, but just in my mind,
Yeah, I
see them in a similar wavelength in terms of just atmosphere and characters and just kind of the bite that they're trying to chew into, like the way that they bite into the material. So yeah.
No, the thing you said about it being sincere despite some of its whiplash is very true. Like you mentioned before, we had that number, I think it was literally the first music number, the All Is Well number. It ends with, take the drone up to the guy's window and he's hanged himself. And that leads into like a very serious, dour funeral scene where the Amir Khan character goes up to Virus, the principal, and he gives this little speech about how, this wasn't just a suicide, this could be seen as like a murder because of pressure. And then that becomes his kind of, motivation for the rest of the film. Like the idea that like people are, so pressured to do well that it comes at the expense of not just their mental health, but also their motivation and stuff like that. And then as a response to that, the Virus character, the principal, has a personal gripe with him and his friends, and so that leads the ball rolling of the drama.
And I was also a bit taken aback too, because although we say Amir Khan is the lead, he's not the main character. He's like the instigator for the actual.
He's not the viewpoint character.
Yeah, and the viewpoint character does feel more like a main character as well. Like they change, they grow, they develop, they reconcile the themes of the movie. While Amir Khan, by his very nature, he's already reached this point before the movie has happened. Like he's already like completed the journey, and now he's trying to get them to understand, but the movie's also challenging the fact that he feels like he's completed this ideological journey with Amir Khan, while the two other characters, his two other friends, specifically the one who's the photographer or desired photographer, who's
He's the narrator of
narrator of the
past
movie.
sections.
I would still say like he's the main character because he's still in the movie a lot, and yeah, just because Amir Khan, yeah, his character by his very nature he's the same as he was at the beginning as he was at the end. Like he's the exact same, but he does get challenged.
Yeah, he's just an enigma, and he has the drive and motivations to move the plot along and like provide the challenge to the status quo that the setting requires for a story.
We'll just start talking about him, Amir Khan, this actor and the character and the general sphere of him, because that was the appeal for me as well of getting into this, was seeing more of him, because from what I understand, and you can clarify now, he is one that you are the least familiar with of the Khans?
Yeah, I think technically I've seen like one more film of his than I have like Salman, but yeah, I just haven't heard as much about him growing up.
And what's been your opinion on him or your take on Amir Khan? And what does this film do to either further that or counter it?
Yeah, I guess I did have also the same impression that like he's a bit more serious, but I guess that's more about him in real life as a person, whereas in this, that kind of reshapes it to like, oh, I guess he's more of like a method actor kind of person. Especially, I read some of the trivia, and it seemed like he is a bit of a method actor type. Like, he had to lose weight for this, so he didn't eat his birthday cake, it said. But that, yeah, just because he's serious in real life doesn't mean that he can't play, a unexpectedly silly role like this.
I liked him in Lagan. I remembered liking him. I appreciated that he was bringing the gravity to that film, and that he wasn't showboating, because I think with a lot of the Indian actors, like lead actor character people, they have this element of like superstardom, and like it's not just they're giving a performance, it's almost like, look at me, I sing, I can dance, I can do this, I can do that, I can kick and punch, and
which is
I'm
kind
handsome, and like I'm the guy, and
kind of the appeal of Salman.
Yeah, and definitely Shah Rukh Khan has a lot of that too. But Mia did not present that with himself in Lagan. That was like one of the things, like, oh, he really feels like he's just enveloped in this character. And the same can be stated here. There's no sense of that external layer of performance that often is the joy of Indian movies, I can say as well, of like, who was the actor in Doom 2, the one who's the primary character / antagonist, I guess.
Hrithik Roshan?
Yeah, the one with
the
the
thief
thumb
guy?
Yeah.
Hrithik Roshan.
He is a great example where like he's a guy who's like constantly voguing to the camera and constantly like, you can look how good I am at dancing. It's like, yeah, he seems like such a nice, lovely guy, but there's a level of like, I'm not thinking about his character, I'm just thinking about like the actor playing, like he seems like a fun guy.
Yeah, I'm considering a film of his next year.
But with Amir Khan, this is different for him, like drastically different to Lagan. And I thought he did really, really well. I was really impressed with how he could still play these serious scenes with that levity and with that like almost airiness that this character has. The character's constantly moving physically. He's constantly bobbing and weaving, and he's like, he can't sit still. And there's this one of my favorite sequences in the movie is when one of our other leads attempts suicide, and then they're trying to wake him up from a coma or comatose state in the hospital, and Mia Khan is playing it very seriously, but there's also so much joy and levity, but you can tell underneath that joy and levity that there's this fear and there's this anxiety, and he's so good at layering these the performances I've seen from him. And this one, yeah, you look at the poster, you look at his silly face, we meet him early on and he makes a person electrocute themselves by when they pee. Like it's all slapstick, silly, bawdy humor. But then when he has to step up to the plate and play the more dramatic layers of it all, He really does. It's just phenomenal
Yeah.
work.
And it's very consistent with his character throughout, where he's always trying to bring out the best in other people, even if he's antagonizing them currently. Maybe not as much the, like, dickhead rivalry character, but, even with the principal character, it's like, I think your philosophy on teaching is wrong, and here's me constantly bringing up more examples of it. And with the other friends, it's like, you clearly aren't into this. You want to be a photographer. You should pursue that.
It was the one weakness he has in comparison to all the other lead Indian actors that we have. I'm going to include Irfan Khan in this as well. He is the worst dancer, Amir Khan. I wasn't
Maybe.
sure
Yeah.
when we did Lagan, because Lagan, their music numbers 9 times out of 10 were diegetic, and they were like ceremonial, and they were
Yeah. There was like a festival at one point.
yeah, and they're very slow and deliberate. They're not showy.
Mm.
This one had to be showy a lot more, and I think a lot of the time it's just him being like, I'll move my body around and whatever. And he's and it's like, I know that there's a level of like he's being silly in these dances, but then there are some clear sequences in these dance numbers where it's like you are supposed to be doing it like properly, and I just don't think he has the juice there. So I think he leans into playing it a little bit more stupid to get away with the fact that he's clearly not that advanced, like that good of a dancer. Now, if I'm wrong, if I'm making too much fun, let me know in the comments a movie of his where, okay, Amir shows off the dance skills.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because out of all of these guys, he's without a doubt the one I look at and go, nah, he's not.
I can't remember.
He's not really giving us anything in the dancing.
It's been too long since I've seen Doom 3, but he plays like a circus acrobat in that, so that's like physical movement. Maybe there's some good numbers there, but I can't remember.
Anything else you want to say about Amir Khan?
Not really, no. He was just really consistent throughout, and when you learn things about him at the end, where he's disappeared off to, what he's been doing, it does feel like a natural follow-up to, how his character was in those past sequences where he's trying to lift people up.
The film is called Three Idiots, but as the trivia likes to point out, there was a fourth idiot.
Yeah, that was the first trivia point, I think.
Who's that fourth idiot?
So it's a self-dubbed fourth idiot.
The best kind.
Yeah, Shah Rukh Khan considers himself the fourth idiot because he chose to do another film instead of this one. A film I really like, by the way, but probably more than this one. But yeah, he could have been in this big hit.
Yeah, was that other film considered as much of a national treasure and staple as Three Idiots is? Because Three Idiots seems to be held very highly.
Yeah, I think just the level of love this film has, like, even as good as My Name is Khan was, I guess people don't talk about it as much as this one.
We both like this movie, but I feel like we aren't as in love with it as the reputation that surrounds it, like the stuff that encompasses it. What do you think it is about this movie that broke so big, like that has such a lasting legacy, and that when it came out too, that even people like me were like, oh, I've heard about Three Idiots. Like, so many big Indian movies come out year after year after year, and yet there are only a handful that actually kind of pierce through to the West, where people know of RRR, for instance, or people know of, Om Shanti Om, or on and on we go. But like, what do you or Lagan? Like, what is it?
From what I was reading up, this film was really popular all throughout Asia, and it makes sense that other Asian countries are familiar with Bollywood films because they're all on the same continent. They have more easier access to each other's filmographies. And I think I can't remember if it was one of the trivia points or some other place that I read up. It was talking about how, and this is a stereotype that I'm sure we're familiar with growing up and even just watching media, that a lot of Asian cultures really, really value the high grades in their education. And this film unambiguously falls into that category with most of its characters that it's criticizing. We have the principal virus who straight up tells you, like, oh, if you're not number one, then people won't remember you as number two.
Silencer,
rote learning above actual understanding. And so this was a film that, not only is a, fun, university film.
Satire.
It is also satirizing this thing that kind of is seen as like set in stone, kind of like untouchable, unchangeable, and doing it in a way that, is melodramatic at times, but is really comprehensive. Like, I remember there was the sequence in this film that I really liked, probably because, bit of a teaching background myself, where Virus drags him into the classroom and says, like, you think you're so good? Teach us something, or, just you do the job. And he does this little exercise that, gets Virus embarrassed, where it's like, here's 2 words. You have 30 seconds or a minute to define these words, open book, go. And everyone's just panicking. They can't do it. Even Virus has to steal someone's book just to look through it. Time's up. No one got it. I made up these words. Now think about how that felt. I put pressure on you to succeed, and, you were so desperate, you still failed. That is bad. That is what we are currently doing, and it is not good. It goes against the joy of learning.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think even though we may mention it specifically in like a lot of Asian countries and India and so on, has this notion of grades above all, academic excellence, it is still something that's a very universal thing as well. We can understand it. And I think that the presentation of it is disarming, because it does ingratiate you with this idea that it's going to be almost like this police academy type comedy where, like, we're going to the school and there's a bunch of goofy guys and they're going to go through the stuff.
But kind of main hooney.
Yeah, but then it becomes Dead Poets Society, but Indian style. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not just it's satirizing, it is furiously and like scathingly critiquing.
Yeah, trying to demolish.
It is not pulling the punches. It like people. When we mention suicide, this film does not do it once. It goes fully into that stuff several times.
We have one that happens and another attempt, and then in the backstory, there's like 1 or 2
successes. Yeah, but it's. Those things we can say maybe were mishandled or maybe they were too much. But the fact that they are there says something in itself.
They are purposeful, yeah.
They are purposeful beyond just the narrative of the movie. It's the movie going beyond itself and looking at the audience, whether they be Indian or whether they be us Australians or so on, and say, this is a reality. There's obviously lots of like local cultural context, like they talk about like the highest rates of suicide and it's in India, and what does that make you feel, what does that make you think? But it goes into it even further than that, and it gets into these characters, and you start to care about these characters, you start to worry about these characters. One of the most moving sequences and one that is purely visual, told beautifully in the filmmaking, is when one of our leads attempts suicide, and it's this sequence in which like he's pressured to do it in this short time span in a method that's been previously established as a joke, like the teacher getting his face shaved. That's been a joke in the movie, that whole thing of like he's so precise, but now it's been flipped on its head and it's used as
a prisoner's dilemma kind of thing.
And our character, he can't handle. He doesn't want to break his.
Fuck yourself or fuck your friend. You choose.
And he decides to try and end his life because he can't handle either option. And it also goes back to that exercise you were talking about earlier, where it's like, here's this short pressure of time and you have to do this and you got to fuck up and fail. So fuck you. How does that make you feel?
And that character specifically, like the other 2 idiots that aren't Amir Khan both have their own specific issue. For him, it is the pressure.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to let his family down. That's a thing, but it's not in the same sense as the other character who doesn't want to let his family down. He actually has to provide for his family.
Yeah.
He has to succeed in life because his parents...
He's the very poor kid.
He's the poor kid and the kid with the family that's older and sick and all of that. So there's an actual drive for him that is more than the others who are just going through
the stakes are highest
the
for him.
social constructs and constraints. This character is like, well, I see why he would want to conform to these social pressures because he doesn't have an option
He's
as clear.
Yeah, he's the most desperate one. He's always turning to like religion. He's like got all these rings on his fingers. It's like, begging for success, things like that. Whereas the other, of the main idiots, he's got a very strict father that has high expectations of him, and it's scary to confront him.
I always think about this period of life, whether it is high school or university. It's such a strange environment to think about when you're an adult who's moved beyond that. Those stresses, those concerns, those ideas of like, I have to succeed in this or else my entire life before me won't progress the way it ought to, or the way I'm told it's supposed to. And how there are different stories that deal with this in very different ways, but there's just certain things that still ring true. Like I mentioned Dead Poet Society, that's definitely one. But weirdly enough, talking about this character who's struggling and has the parents and all that, it made me think of Bad Genius. Where there's a character in that movie who's like the ultra smart genius and is a moral upstanding guy, but then he gets twisted by everything because, well, he really needs to succeed because he has a poor family life and like things need to work out well, but also like at what level do you sell your soul for that? And yeah, I think all of this stuff that we're getting into and talking about, this is the stuff about Three Idiots that is enduring, that lasts, that rings out than so much than the goofy comedy or the musical numbers or the filmmaking itself. Because when we've talked about other big Indian movies, that is a lot of the discussion. Like, look at the incredible dancing and filmmaking and joy of Om Shanti Om, or Lagan, where it's just like, here's a epic film that's like a historical drama sports movie. There's so much going on. And this one, it didn't. I don't know, would you agree or disagree that this one didn't feel like there was that much going on? It was very stripped and simple when you break it down to its base elements.
It does kind of jump around to its key points. Like, we are meant to believe that 4 years passes in the school sequences, but really we only get stuff from the first year and the last year. We don't really get the sense that there was a year 2 and 3. Like, the characters don't really physically change that much. Like, we get so much of that first year that ends with like, the two kind of more main characters, got their lowest in the whole 200 people, whereas the Amir Khan character's number 1, and that was like, a whole ending to that first year. And then we jump to the last year and they have offhanded mentions about like, oh yeah, you guys just are always at the bottom and he's always at the top. And it just felt a bit jarring that like, over nearly 700 days have passed and we didn't really get much of that. It kind of just jumps to the key points, like the start of the school time where everything gets established, and then the end where we're moving into the present day stuff.
I wasn't bothered by that because, again, as you said, it's
me neither.
Key points. But,
it's just to think about it. It's like,
think about it. Yeah, it didn't even enter my mind. It was just, it felt pretty natural to me.
Yeah.
And the framing device is very fun as well, where we meeting our characters at an later in their lives, a decade later. They're reunited because of this one antagonistic little prick in their year.
On a very, and can I just say, on a very forgettable date?
Yeah,
like nothing very notable about that date,
September
right?
5th, not
September
at all.
5th. Is it someone's birthday on that day? I don't know.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury's birthday.
He's dead, so we'd never have to think about that date ever again. Guys, it's Ryan's birthday.
It was my birthday. I did have a big smile.
They needed to reunite on Ryan's birthday.
They needed to reunite on my birthday. I found that framing device very fun. And when we did cut to the present day stuff, it didn't feel lesser then, because that can be an issue when you cut to and fro from time periods. Is like one's more interesting than the other, but both of them were as interesting as each other. The future one, or present day one, maybe a little less so, but at the same time there was like a mystery. There's like an angle that you're like, okay, where are they going towards this? And there's like reveals in it, like when they find the person that they assume to be their friend,
Yeah.
and then it's like, no, here's a backstory that
Yeah, we finally found a Rancho. Hey, we're looking for Rancho. I'm Rancho.
here's my university college photo where
Where
I'm there.
Oh, and I'm not photoshopped in.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Clearly, that was one where they just had the actor take a photo there that day. That was not Photoshop. He was just sitting there.
I know, but
I love that surrealism to it.
the gravity of the change made it look artificial. But I guess if without context, it would have looked more natural. Yeah,
I loved it.
No, but it was interesting because I mentioned before that I've seen a bunch of Bollywood films that have this kind of structure. Where it's like start with the past, then the second half after the intermission is the present. I don't think too many of the ones that I've seen still cut between the two. So it was interesting that we kept having a lot more of the school time stuff, even towards the end.
Yeah, my wife, Rachel, she was commenting that she was a bit surprised because she watched this with me. She was surprised that the past stuff kept going after the bet moment from Silencer. She thought it was all going to lead up to the moment where he makes the bets and writes the thing in the cement.
That's a good point, yeah.
But it keeps going after that. But she was a bit surprised because when we first start, you're thinking, "Oh, we're going to lead up to that moment, then we're gonna keep speeding along here." But no, it really just keeps going back and forth right till the end. Almost.
It's really interesting because at the end of the school stuff, Virus gets a kind of redemption. But then in the present, he does appear in a scene, and he's not necessarily like front and center antagonistic there, but we still have the impression of him as like, oh, this is the film's antagonist, so he's not a good guy right now. But it's weird to think that moment is now after the redemption we see.
He still doesn't have his mustache.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. He was so distraught about losing the mustache, but he kind of sticks to it.
Yeah, well, he lost. He had to keep the rules, I guess.
I don't think the bet was that he had to lose it forever.
Well, I think he took it that way. That's my read. That's my headcanon. You could say maybe. I'm saying this is my read.
Yeah. Did you like in the I think it was the Zooby Dooby song?
You mean the best song?
The most catchy song that I'm still thinking about.
The best musical number? Yeah.
Did you like it when Amir Khan was him? And they
danced? Oh, yeah. I liked that whole bit where they keep changing the channel and he's on all of the different channels as these different news reporters or media personalities or whatever.
Weatherman, the movie guy.
That was great. So good. That song is so fun, and the whole all of the umbrellas and them on the swing.
And I like that it sticks as the love theme throughout the film for him and the girl.
Yeah, was her name Pia?
Pia, I think, yeah.
Now, have we seen her? I think she's in Om Shanti Om as someone, right? Maybe she's in the dance.
I think I looked her up and she had a cameo in Bilu, I think.
Bilu.
I think it said that she appeared in one of the musical numbers, but wasn't necessarily a character.
Okay, man.
And I know that Deepika from Om Shanti Om did the same thing in Bilu, but I don't know that we've seen her as a
she was a bit different though, wasn't she? Like Deepika was that funny thing where she's like, because her and Shah Rukh Khan did Om Shanti Om, they're doing a little wink of like, hey,
yeah.
Winky winky.
By the way, everyone, look forward to next week's episode.
Yes, look forward to next week's episode. Om Shanti Om 2 Electric Boogaloo. But no, I didn't the Amir obviously, and the teacher Virus. We've seen him. He was in Mainhuna.
Yes, yeah.
Is he the principal there?
Yes, he was the principal in that.
The spitting one.
No, that was a teacher.
That was a teacher.
The principal was the goofy guy.
Okay, was he the one? Which character did I say our improvisation teacher Liam would play? I think he was the spitting teacher. I said Liam would be
probably,
the spitting
teacher. That teacher was a lot more unpleasant. The principal, was goofy and lovable.
He wasn't that lovable here.
Yeah, it's very funny because you've already alluded to this, and I've mentioned it a couple of times. I'm recommending a film next week that's also a Bollywood film, and I told you at some point, like, oh, we're finally going to see that actor again.
Here he was!
And now we're doing Three Idiots where, like, oh, he's appeared in the episode right before his grand return, as I was planning.
That's so good.
He's more goofy in the next one, but yeah.
What? He was such a prick in this. Like, almost too much of a degree. I don't know. It's hard to say because I did like his final, like his big conversation where he gave the pen
Yeah,
to
that was a good.
Amir. It was
good
such a good
bookend.
conversation, but they threw so many deplorable things at this character that I have a hard time reconciling the fact that I'm supposed to like him at the end. I don't know. Okay, here's my big poo-poo moment of the movie. I get it, they're doing rule of threes and whatnot, but I did not care for the reveal that his son killed himself and that they hid it from him, and then they weaponize it against him at the end. But then we keep going with the movie and we have the whole baby delivery scene, and it's like, it feels like you need to put these in different orders. You can't have, in my mind at least, I just couldn't get over it, where it's just like, you're right, it wasn't suicide, it was murder, and then we're just gonna keep going with this character where it's like, oh, Dad, can you help deliver this baby? It's just too much. That was too much for me. Like, I get the importance of it, but I also felt like it was a cheap trick to make this part of the character have a dramatic reveal to show that you even did it to your own son. It's like, I think you could have just had it already be known that the kid committed suicide. I don't know. There was something about it just felt like obvious manipulation.
There was a hint early on where he was giving a speech to the class and he said something along the lines of, my own son tried 3 times, never succeeded.
Yes.
So it made sense as like payoff to that.
Yeah, I'm not saying they pulled it out of nowhere. Like, I wasn't surprised, but
I get what you mean by the order thing. Because watching the film itself and just like going by the vibes of how it's going at the time, it's like, oh, he's finally had a redemption. We can forget about the fact that we saw him in the present day and like he apparently approved of the marriage with the rich prick guy. But then,
I mean, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, fair enough. But then after the fact, reading up about the film, someone pointed out like, well, he was still responsible for, at least 2 or 3 suicides or suicide attempts, and that doesn't really get reconciled. And it's like, oh yeah, that's actually a good point.
No, it's pretty rough stuff.
It's like, the best read of it is like, oh well, he probably changes from here on out, but that doesn't really address the past.
No, and you don't get any indication that he's going to stop being a teacher. I would stop being a teacher if I led to so many suicides. I would just tell you that right now. That's one of those where you really have to look at the mirror and say, should I be doing this? Like with the photography guy, like his family. You know how they like had to really like they got challenged on like their notions on how life is supposed to be, and then they have this beautiful moment where it's like he closes the laptop and then he turns around and he's like, you don't need this, you need a camera,
we need to return this. Son, can I exchange this?
Can you help me with that? That's the type of thing. It's like, okay, and those characters are like one scene. Oh, like 1 or 2 scenes. They're not in the movie that much.
Literally 3, I think. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God. But they weren't in the movie that much before that big moment. They're not ones where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to deal with his parents. But when they do deal with that guy's parents, that turnaround, the fact that it does come from the father, is so challenged that he had to think to himself, like, what have I become? The teacher doesn't necessarily have that with leading to the death of people. It's more him and Amir Khan talking about like ideologies of teaching. Yeah. And they come back to the pen and / why don't you use a pencil bit? And I like that. I love that conversation. It's like, you can't always be right. And that's him learning. Like, he can't always be right.
Yeah, but it was a really good response too.
I still don't know if that fully gels with all of that other stuff.
It's because
buddy.
It's what I said before about, the Amir Khan character. He's specifically opposing the ideology rather than the guy, and I guess the film was consistent on that to a kind of detrimental degree, if we want to argue that.
Was the teacher your favorite character, or was Amir, or did you have someone else?
I'd probably go with Amir, but in the teacher's introduction montage where it was like establishing him and all these like little quirks of him, I was thinking about you, like thinking, oh, I bet Ryan loves this sequence where it's like, he's very competitive, doesn't want anyone to beat him. Someone on the bike is a little ahead of him, he speeds up ahead. All these like little quirks at the specific times of day and all these. Yeah, I thought like, oh, this is going to be Ryan's favorite character going forward. And, it kind of shifts to a lot more seriousness there, but that setup was a lot of fun.
He was not my favorite character. But do you want to take a guess who was?
Um,
I'll also preface it like this. I'd love to play this character.
you'd love to play this character. Would it be the rich prick?
No.
No, right.
It's Silencer.
That was my second
I
guess.
fucking loved him. I loved his present day version. What like a loser he looked like.
Yeah.
His hair was all fucked up, and like his big glasses, and he's often speaking in English, and just all of that was
He's he grew up in Uganda.
He was so enjoyable. I loved him. He was just so awesome, and like his comeuppance at the end was obvious. You knew as soon as you brought up this mysterious figure, I'm like, oh, it's going to be Amir Khan. Yeah, we know this, but it still hit. That joke still works.
Ryan has to appreciate a character that has vowed to remember his birthday for a decade.
Mm-hmm. Of course. I thought he was so damn funny. When they
He's so slimy.
tie him up and throw him in the boot of the car and throw him in there for hours and he still needs to pee. Oh, man. And then when Pia gets in the car, she's like, what is he doing here? Not like, why is he tied up? What is he doing here? Like, why have we got him? Then he's like sitting in the middle, still tied up. It's like, oh.
Every time he accuses Raju of being the one that farted.
Oh.
It's like, Raju.
So amazing. Okay. Now this is very serious. We've talked about a lot of heavy subjects, a lot of amazing things. This film, I do believe is a bit of a tonal nightmare even for an Indian movie. Would you agree with that, or do you think that this is just so par for the course? Because you're much more versed in masala and these kind of Indian movies where they switch tones so suddenly. But I thought that this is one of the most again antagonistic takes that we've seen out of any of these movies.
I feel like if I hadn't seen Dunki, I would be a bit more agreeable. I think Dunki does it to a much bigger degree, but I can definitely acknowledge that there are tonal shifts in this one, yeah.
Because at the beginning, that seems like the thing that's holding you back from loving it a bit more than where we're at. Because when we started this conversation, it's the thing that we both acknowledge is like, this is a thing.
But we did say that it was, for a sincere reason.
Yes, you can still have sincerity, but does it still like jam up the works? But I bring this up because there's this whole side plot about Pia's sister is pregnant, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And it all culminates in this absolutely insane 15-minute sequence where all of the people at the university must help her give birth. And I'm just thinking to myself, why the fuck's this here? Why is this here? And then the kid is dead.
Yeah.
And then they brought it back to life by quoting the catchphrase of Amir Khan. And I'm like, this is so out of pocket and nonsensical, and why is this here? That I turned around to loving it in almost like an Andy Kaufman type fashion. I was like, this is so...
The stillbirth part was the weird part for me.
Oh, not one, the vacuum cleaner?
I mean, at least there was a lot of payoff kind of stuff there. The device that he was making at one point, we're going to use that here. His ingenuity with machines all culminated and stuff. But then
the stillbirth gave a payoff. They brought it back to life with the kicking.
Yeah, it gave a payoff to something that was established earlier on, but in terms of a drama, it's we need one more little drama thing here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there was a fear of a stillbirth the whole way through the film.
Well, there was always a fear that something was going to go wrong during this entire birth scene because she was supremely tired. That was something set up within this birth sequence, that there was something wrong from the beginning. Hence, they needed to be instructed to do further things like the vacuum cleaner. So I do in the solitude of the sequence itself, they do set up that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But I guess it is such, again, like with the suicides, it's like with going from an extremely jaunty musical number to someone hanging themselves it's so sudden.
Well,
You
yeah,
just you can't.
we had already, the drama, the intensity of the situation. Like, we're doing it in this office. We're not at a hospital. Triumphant, we did it finally.
She's on a ping pong table.
Yeah, ping pong table. We finally did it. The child is born. We're all excited and happy. Then, like, oh shit, we're like valley low.
Mm-hmm.
And then, back to triumphant again.
Yeah, a big kick.
Yeah, that's what I meant by, like, we need just one more drama, and that drama, like I said, valleys.
And then the teacher had his little arc moment again, where he said, like, the shock of shocks that this kid could grow up to be anything he wants. So.
Oh yeah. They
did say that.
Yeah,
soccer.
Yeah, Farhan had that line about, like, if he said that this kid's going to be an engineer, I was going to sock him in the jaw or something. It's like, what a kick on this boy! Do you want to be a footballer? And it's like, oh, that was
good.
That was a nice little thing.
Yeah, it was good. But I just that whole scene is like, this is the difference between an Indian movie and any other country's movies, because it's played straight as well as comedic. Like, it's supposed to be like this heartwarming, hey, here's the community, all these characters are here and they're helping out. Millimeter's here and everyone's here and they're all helping out. Even the asshole antagonist teacher, they're all here. Her head is getting stuck on the net of the ping pong table while she's giving birth. I thought that was a great little comedic detail that they didn't overplay. It's like something like, if you don't notice it, then if you go back and watch it, it's hilarious that when she's giving birth, you see her struggling because she's still on this net, which is so, and no one adjusts it. I thought that was very, very
They're more
good.
worried about the baby.
But then they're trying to help deliver a baby through the computer, and they show him like a YouTube video. I thought that was very good. Like, here's how you get the suction thing, and here's what you do. They show him a YouTube video.
Oh yeah. So they show him a chart, and then they show him they show him the chart to explain crowning, and then the video for the suction. Yeah,
and then he's like, "All right, everyone, wake up! We're gonna help give birth to a baby. We're gonna deliver a baby." The top comment on the Letterboxd reviews for this is, thanks Rancho for showing all the engineers a vagina because of that. I'm trying to think, what else do you want to say about Three Idiots? Is there anything about the past or the present events that you really want to get into?
I guess another dramatic shift was when they were approaching the real rancho. And we go from, him trying to kill them and saying, like, I can bury the bodies here and not get caught, to him emotionally connecting with them and saying something along the lines of, like, he always said the two of you would come asking about him. It's like, oh, were you always expecting to kill us then?
What about Pia? We haven't talked about her very much. Like, there is a romance in this movie, and it's a very fraught one where they keep ruining marriages in weddings and their family.
Yeah, the same marriage.
What did you think of her overall, and the way it all kind of ties in? Because she's the daughter of the antagonist as well. It's not like she's just some random woman.
Yeah, it's his beloved daughter. Yeah, it felt very Bollywood, the kind of shift. Like, she starts off very antagonistic towards Rancho, but he kind of shows himself to her, makes her realize, like, oh, this is who this guy is, and then she has the shift of, like, okay, I'm on your side now. But then I do think it goes a bit further with the fact that, she is the antagonist's daughter, and she actually does join in on the opposition to him towards the end. That was a good little change.
I thought it was okay. I don't know if they had much chemistry, the actors. I just didn't really feel it. The Zooby Dooby song, it does help a lot. That song is just so good.
It's a good love song, yeah.
It's so good. And that end scene where she slaps him after he's talking about, like, I've dreamed of this, and then she slaps, and she's going to, but she slaps him. That was really funny. And I like that his two mates beat the shit out of him. That was great.
When they get to kicking him while he's down, it's like, oh, geez.
He deserves it.
He does. And
he called Millimeter before he did them.
I do like that they had a, like, obvious stopping point. Like, okay, that's enough.
That's enough. Millimeter grew up to be centimeter. That was a cute little gag. And they're like, "You're kilometer." Like they keep adding to it. I like that during one of the height of the dramatic scenes at the end. We're like, we're getting close to seeing, current day Amir Khan. There's a whole scene where they're talking to centimeter/millimeter, and in the background is just Windows XP screensaver going ding, 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 ding. And I was just looking at that throughout the whole scene. I'm like, hey, Windows XP.
I'm like, hey, shouldn't that have been in the past scenes?
No, Windows XP was still in
2009, I guess.
Windows XP, not Windows 95.
Yeah, the support, I think, a few years later stopped.
Yeah, I had Windows XP until my parents still have Windows XP because they still have our old computer. So there you go. But I had that, until I left for university.
Yeah, when did I move to... Because I went from...
I had Windows 7 on my laptop.
Yeah, I went from XP to Vista.
I never did Vista. I skipped Vista. I think people didn't like it.
I skipped 8 and 10.
Oh, wow. I have a 10 right now, baby.
I've got 11.
Yeah, we have 11 on our laptop, and my wife doesn't like it very much.
It's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
I do miss the interface of XP and Vista 7, whichever I had.
Yeah. Amir Khan is way too old.
I like the trivia pointing out how just everyone was all over the place except for like Silencer.
Yeah.
But Silencer was the only one that was like 26.
Amir Khan's like in his mid-40s.
Yeah, Amir Khan's like 43. I think Farhan was in his 30s.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Raju was on the too young end, and then like Silencer was the only one who was, right.
And then his older version, you just fuck him up. He looks so old, but it's awesome. Three Idiots. Definitely one worth checking out. I do recommend it. It's not on the higher end for me personally, but I do understand the appeal of it, and there's just so much to not only think about but feel with this movie. And although I did bounce off certain sections of it, there are certain sections that I did really connect with. This is one where, although I say all of this, I don't know if I'm going to be as drawn to rewatch this one as some of the others we've done on the podcast. Like, I want to rewatch Lagan. I want to rewatch Bilu in a weird way too, because Bilu's one is like, it has so many weird elements that I still think about, but I'm like, I don't know. This one, I'm not too sure. At the moment, I'm just looking at it going, this is not the greatest, it's not the worst, but I definitely see the overall success of it and why it has endured and why it's made this filmmaker someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a crowd pleaser.
Yes. So would you recommend?
I'd recommend it too, yeah. I remember when we first started doing the Bollywood films on the podcast, I did point out that, I give them a lot more of a pass just because of like how they're done. There is a sort of, without the negative connotation, a sort of popcorny entertainment to them where it's just like, sit down, have a bit of an event, a Bollywood film. And I did have a few points in this film where I was like, if this wasn't a Bollywood film, I feel like I would be a bit more critical of it, but I am kind of just letting it pass because like, this is how Bollywood does things, but obviously for the podcast, I'll have to be a bit more critical. If you are the type that, watches Bollywood films and does enjoy them and kind of have that sort of attitude, then yeah, this film will totally, please you. But if you are more critical, there will be one or two elements, as you heard in this episode, where, there will be things to think about.
I thought the pacing was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel it dragged, but there were certain bits where I was like, this, no. My other big complaint was there's a scene in the movie where, what's the name of the character who attempted suicide?
I think that was
Raju. He's in a wheelchair. This is after he's woken up from a coma, and he has like the job interview scene. And this, I'm sure people know who this figure is that I'm going to bring up, but it reminded me of another Indian filmmaker, I guess. I'm pretty sure he's Indian. Darman, the YouTube guy. He has so many videos that are just that interview scene. it was cringeworthy, that whole interview where they're like, we respect your honesty, but could you change? No, I can't. It just felt so after school special.
You passed the test. You get
passed
the job.
Test. It felt very after school special. Like, that to me was too much cheese to handle.
That was
it felt very lame.
That was very much, the world of fiction. Things will go all right, even though, if you're any bit savvy about how job interviews work, it's like, oh, you've just thrown red flag after red flag. And the way the scene was ending, where he's like, I probably not going to get this job, and that's fine with me because I've changed myself, and that's more important than this. So thank you for your time. I'm leaving. Then you get you pass the test, you have the job thing.
Just... It really felt like a Dar Man thing where I needed him to pop up at the end of that saying, thanks for watching the channel.
We're telling stories.
Yeah.
There was another thing of that was not to the same extent at all, but the actual ending of the film where Silencer approaches not Rancho and does the comparison of we made the bet 10 years ago, we'll see that in 10 years who's more successful, and then whoever's more successful will win. And
then he really learned his lesson.
And well, even before that, Silence is making his case for why he wins, and not Rancho, Amir Khan is just having a really great time with it. Oh yeah, oh great. And it felt like I could have seen the film ending with oh yeah, I lost the bet, but I don't really mind, because that's what I would expect of the character.
But no,
but then he does have the one-up thing, which was extra funny. But I would have been fine even without that, because I could just buy Rancho not being bothered by losing this bet he probably didn't think about much. I
would have just been more happy if Rancho was just a teacher at this eccentric school, but no, he's also this engineering genius patent guy who also just happens to... I was like, oh, all right. So,
yeah, I could have done without that, but whatever. It's not to the extent of the interview scene.
His school that he runs seemed like a school that Wes Anderson would create in a movie of his. It was just Rube Goldberg machines and nonsense.
I like the trivia point. There was a trivia point about how all of the 3 devices that you see when they enter the school are all real, low-tech devices people actually made.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
They invented they had a little drone in this movie, and that was, I guess, in the past scene when it was set in 1999.
Yeah, they were calling it a flying helicopter or something.
Because it had to be set in 1999, right?
Yeah.
Unless they're saying the present day is actually the future of 2019. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder if you go back.
It took me a while.
Did the movie look like a period late?
I didn't think
it didn't look any different.
Yeah, I didn't think about what year the past scenes were set until I saw the Windows XP screensaver actually, where I'm like, oh,
the present day stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. What would have been 10 years before this?
Mm-hmm. Windows 95.
Yeah, but I guess. Yeah, it would be something to consider rewatching. Is there anything distinctly of the past?
1999, yeah.
Yeah.
Their clothes, their cars, their tech. I don't know, or if they just didn't think about it and they just went, you won't notice. Because that's also a thing that exists.
I didn't notice until the Windows XP screensaver.
Then you're like, all right, we're in the present day, of course. Well, that is it. Now it is time for Bartek's recommendation, and as stated, he is also recommending a Bollywood film, also a return of the actor who played Virus in this particular movie, and also he was the principal in Main Hu Na.
Yes.
So, and you already made a little hint that we're getting back into that world or that filmmaker, I guess.
Yep. Ryan, you've known for weeks now because this is jumping ahead to what we usually do after we say the recommendation, but we take listening people's suggestions like this episode was. But then one of the things that, might slow us down to getting around to that is the availability of the films, especially if it is a foreign film that requires subtitles. So I had to tell Ryan ahead of time, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. It's on Netflix, but I know you don't have Netflix. See if you can find it, and you did, so we can do the episode. So, Ryan, you already know this, but we are doing the 2014 Farah Khan directed film Happy New Year. which is kind of considered like the third in this kind of trilogy that she did of
With Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, with Shah Rukh Khan, where it's Main Hunna, the first one we did, Om Shanti Om, which we did, and now there's Happy New Year.
And we're skipping the one in between that she made
Yeah.
that people are extremely divided on.
I didn't even know it existed until you brought up that it exists. I'm like, oh, whoops.
I can't remember what it's called, but the lead
It's got an Indian name. Yeah.
And the lead of it is, I can't remember the actor, if it was John Abraham or whoever the cock gun guy was in Om Shanti Om.
Akshay Kumar.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, I didn't know it existed. We'll probably do it at some point just so we can
That one's hard to find.
Oh, okay.
I looked for it because I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a copy. I had a difficult time finding it.
Fair enough. But yeah,
the IMDb reviews are so poor for it, but it's so strange because like IMDb reviews for like some of these movies are just so staggered and all over the place. Like our friends at the Contrarians, they've been doing the Singham movies, and the Singham movies are like a popular franchise and people love them. Go to IMDb, each one of them's like 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10.
You got to go to the Indian IMDb.
3. It's like, yeah, but most of the time when you go to these sites, it's Indian people rating them, and you often see in the comments like there's like a lot of like how to describe it, almost like fan culture, like extreme values to like, oh, this film's not as good because Shah Rukh Khan, blah, 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 that maybe you and I don't have to such an extent.
Indians and Bollywood, it's kind of like a religion.
Oh, yes.
There is a very big love for them.
Yes.
One thing I should say about Happy New Year, it's kind of considered a follow-up to Om Shanti Om in terms of like that thematic trilogy kind of thing. So obviously I saw this film in the cinema with my mum, and we were very hyped because we loved Om Shanti Om so much, and even on this podcast, it's our favorite one.
You would have been finishing university.
Yeah, 2014. There was a year we truly became friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came out shortly after Soviet Western even. But yeah, this was one that I wasn't very into. I was kind of disappointed by. So one of the reasons why I'm picking it is not just to round out the trilogy, but also to give it a re-evaluation. Hopefully I'll like it a bit more, but yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, also just warning, like, hey, don't expect this to be on the level of Om Shanti Om. Let's try to walk in with an open mind.
I hope the dancing's good.
I think I remember it being good.
The dancing's been good in her films.
Yeah.
All right, that is it. Thank you all so much for listening. You can find us on social medias of Facebook and Twitter, Spit and Polish Presents, as well as all of those podcasting sites out there. You can find us on those, so make sure to subscribe and follow and drop a comment on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you can. We'll see them. We'll appreciate them. If you have recommendations, you can drop them on there or our social medias, or you can contact us more directly at our email address, which is...
Oh, I know this.
Yeah, you do.
The email address is spitandpolished@gmail.com.
Everything is included in the description, or as the hip content creators are calling it nowadays, the D-box. Yeah, description box.
Doesn't sound very good.
No, but I've heard several people when I've watched YouTube or podcasts call it the D-box.
Never. I've never heard it.
I have. I've heard D-box.
Sounds like he's calling me a D-bag.
Yeah, no, it's in the D-box. I even think our friend Alex from the Contrarians one time said D-box. So think about that.
Wow.
But he also says y'all, so I don't know.
Yeah, and he wasn't into Om Shanti Om, was he?
No, he said that the film story could have been summed up in 40 minutes, and I'm like, that's definitely not true, but that's okay. It's okay, Alex. I don't forgive you, actually. No, I'm holding you, I'm bringing it up to ridicule you. That doesn't indicate I forgive or forget, so don't get it confused, don't get it twisted. But until next time, remember to be kind to each other, or...
Yeah,
I was going to make a joke
reference something in the film and don't make it any of the dark things.
Or you're going to zooby-dooby-doo!